Sildi is a quiet place. It sits 7,000 feet up in the mountains, but it's the kind of heavy silence that feels like a landslide is about to happen. Khabib Nurmagomedov spent 29 fights living inside that silence, while he systematically took away his opponent's ability to breathe. He made a secret choice early on that made him unbeatable, but it also made him miserable. Most people talk about the bear. They see a kid wrestling a predator and think it's just a tough workout, but they're missing the point entirely. Actually, that wasn't about building muscle. It was about rewiring how his brain responds to a life-or-death threat. We're going to look at the real reason he quit at his peak, and it's much darker than a simple promise. This wasn't about winning. If you look closely, you'll see he wasn't fighting for himself, but was instead fulfilling an ancient prophecy that required him to ignore his own needs. It's almost as if he became a ghost just to make sure a ghost's dream stayed alive. By the end of this, you'll see why 29-0 was never a victory. It starts with the Adat. This is the unwritten code of the Highlanders where the clan's honor always matters more than the person standing in front of you. What we see is a man who didn't view the cage as a sport, but as a legal trial for his entire family history. For Khabib, losing wasn't an option because it meant shaming everyone who came before him. His father was an engineer. He didn't just train a fighter. He built a human machine that followed a three-stage development cycle from childhood to the pros. This meant Khabib's brain was already wired for combat before he even knew who he was as a separate person. He never got tired of the grind because the grind was his only reality. He owns the space. While most fighters are worried about their own feet, Khabib is just looking at the geometry of the cage and making it smaller. Think about this. When you feel like the walls are literally closing in, your brain breaks and you start making mistakes. It's called learned helplessness. Now, here's the weird part. That talking he does in the cage isn't just trash talk. It's a way to overload his opponent's mind. When he's asking Michael Johnson to give up, he's forcing that man to process language while he's gasping for air. It's a hack that slows down the opponent's reactions by half a second. He almost died in 2017. His kidneys were failing during a weight cut, and his body was essentially shutting down for good. But because of a concept called Maktub, he didn't feel any panic about it. If everything is already written by a higher power, then you don't have to worry about the outcome. The father's plan was a shield. By fighting for his father's vision instead of his own ego, he became immune to the pressure that usually breaks world champions. He didn't want to be the greatest, he just wanted to be the most obedient. That shift in focus made it impossible for him to have a bad night. The Conor fight was a clash of worlds. You had a man who fought for himself going against a man who fought for a 1,000-year-old culture. McGregor tries to break your sense of self, but Khabib didn't have a private self to break. You can't insult someone who doesn't exist as an individual. Then the mask finally slipped. That post-fight riot was years of stifled rage coming to the surface in one single, chaotic explosion. Actually, that jump over the cage wasn't about Conor. It was the moment he realized his own legacy was becoming a cage of its own. He was a Highlander again. Losing his father changed everything. In a very real way, his father was the North Star that told him which way to walk. Without the one person he was trying to please, the act of fighting lost all its purpose. The winning didn't matter if the observer was gone. He fought Geith while he was grieving. It was almost like he was walking through fire just to get the job over with as fast as possible. He even chose a triangle choke because he didn't want to break a man's arm in front of his parents. That was his final act of mercy. Here is the dark price. To stay at the top, he had to erase himself until there was nothing left but the training. He couldn't have a personality or a life that wasn't about the plan. He basically turned himself into a biological weapon for his family's honor. Money didn't move the needle. $100 million for a rematch meant absolutely nothing compared to a promise he made to his mother. In his mind, coming back would be a betrayal of the dead. He stopped being the warrior and became the protector. He fought like a siege. Most guys want a quick knockout, but Khabib was fine with just waiting for your spirit to rot away. It's almost as if he was a castle, and the other guy was an army that forgot to bring food. He had all the time in the world. He rarely got hit. There is a pathological obsession with staying pure that we see in his stats. To bleed would be to show that the father's plan had a flaw in it. He wanted to be a physical statement of perfection. Now he's passing it on. He isn't just teaching moves. He's uploading his own brain into guys like Islam Makhachev. It's a way to make the legacy live forever, even after he's gone from the spotlight. He's building an army of versions of himself. He never cared about the show. While everyone else was playing a character, Khabib was just being uncomfortably real at all times. By refusing to play the UFC's game, he actually became more powerful. He made the world come to him. But wait, there's a catch. By building his whole life on being undefeated, he created a fragile reality where one mistake could destroy everything. If he lost once, the idea that his father's way was the only way would have crumbled. He was fighting to keep his world from breaking. That's why he looked so relieved. After the Geithch fight, you can see the weight lifting off his shoulders as he realizes he doesn't have to be perfect anymore. He finally escaped the record. The 29-0 was a prison he built for himself. The mind of Khabib is a mix of old mountain honor and new school discipline. What we see is a human being who removed his ego entirely to win. It's almost impossible to beat a man who isn't there. Here is the final truth. He didn't just quit for his mom. He quit because he was losing his soul to the business. He saw himself becoming a man who fought for greed, and he hated it. To save the person his father raised, he had to kill the fighter. He never actually liked the violence. He loved the discipline and he loved his father, but the actual fighting was just a heavy burden he carried. The man who smashed everyone was really just a guy who wanted peace. He just wanted to go home. Absolute dominance comes with an absolute cost. You can have the gold or you can have your sanity, but it's hard to keep both. Khabib chose himself, and that's why he's the only one who got away clean. That 29-0 is a tombstone. It marks the spot where a man refused to break until the job was finally done. He finished the plan, and then he found his voice in the quiet of his retirement. Greatness is often just a cage. Khabib Nurmagomedov didn't just win a belt. He won the mental game of knowing when to walk away. He knew when the price of winning was getting too high. The price is paid. The ghost of Sildi is back in the mountains where he belongs. But the blueprint he left behind is still there for anyone who thinks they can handle the weight.